We're always told that existence is physical, that if you can touch it, see it, feel it, then it's real. But that's not true. Existence isn't about atoms and matter, it's about consensus. It's the silent agreement we all have that the world is the way it is. You break that agreement, you step outside of it, and the world just closes over you like water, smooth and silent, leaving no trace you were ever there. I learned this the hard way. It started on a drive home, just a regular Tuesday. I was on Route 9, stuck in the usual traffic, and my GPS chirped with a suggestion for a detour, a shortcut. I was tired, I was late, so I took it. The turnoff looked normal enough at first, but then things started to get weird. The road began to narrow, the asphalt cracking and giving way to dirt. The sounds of the highway, the birds, the wind and the trees, everything just faded away into this thick, heavy silence. The kind of quiet that presses in on you, that feels loud in your ears. And then there was the oak tree, a big, old, crooked thing, with one branch that looked like a broken arm. I drove past it. A few minutes later, I passed it again. Then a third time, and a fourth, the same exact tree. My heart started to hammer against my ribs. This wasn't a loop. The road was straight. It was like the world was glitching, repeating a single frame of reality over and over. Just as panic was about to swallow me whole, the trees suddenly opened up. I found myself looking down into a valley, and nestled in that valley was a town that had no business being there. I've driven that route 1,000 times. There's nothing but woods for 50 miles, but there it was, the strangest part. My clock read 7 p.m. The sun should have been setting, but in that valley it was high noon. A flat, shadowless, unnaturally bright light that bleached all the colors out of everything. The air smelled strange, too, like ozone after a thunderstorm, and something metallic, like old copper pennies. I drove down into the town, my curiosity overriding my fear. It was a jumble of mismatched eras. A classic 1950s diner with gleaming chrome stood right next to a 1990s video rental store, its windows plastered with faded movie posters. A horse-drawn carriage was parked in front of a modern bank with an ATM. It was all wrong, but the people were the most unsettling part. They moved, but it was all incorrect. A man was standing on his perfectly green lawn, holding a hose, going through the motions of watering it, but no water was coming out. I saw a woman pushing a stroller, but when I got closer, I saw it was empty. She was just cooing at the air. A group of kids was in a park, laughing and throwing a ball back and forth, except there was no ball. They were just miming the actions. Their smiles stretched a little too wide, their eyes vacant. They didn't see me. I drove right down the main street, a stranger in a strange car, and not a single head turned. It was like I was a ghost, completely invisible to them. I wasn't part of their script, so they simply edited me out. My unease grew into genuine terror. I had to get out. I pulled into a gas station, hoping to ask for directions, to hear a human voice, anything to prove this was real. The station was as strange as the rest of the town. The pumps were ancient, the kind with the spinning numbers inside. I walked into the attached convenience store. A clerk stood behind the counter, his back to me. "Excuse me," I said, my voice shaky. He didn't move. "Hello?" I tried again, louder, Slowly, his head turned. Just his head. His body remained perfectly still, facing the wall of cigarettes. His face was blank, a perfect mannequin's face. And then he spoke. But the voice that came out of his mouth wasn't his. It was mine. My exact voice. A perfect recording, filled with a terror I didn't even know I had. "Help me," it said. "Help me. Help me." It just kept repeating, a desperate, looping plea. That was it. I didn't wait for an answer. I ran out of that store, jumped in my car, and floored it. I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to be away from there. As I sped out of the town, my phone, which had been dead for the entire time I was in the valley, suddenly buzzed. 1 bar of service, a text message. It was from my wife, Sarah, my wife of 6 years. The message read, "Who is this?" My blood ran cold. I quickly typed back, my fingers fumbling on the screen. "It's David, your husband." "What's going on?" The reply came almost instantly. "I don't know, David. Please stop texting me." I looked in my rear-view mirror, back at the edge of the town. Figures were gathering. The man with the dry hose, the woman with the empty stroller, the clerk from the gas station. They were standing at the invisible line that separated their world from mine, just watching me, patiently. I punched the gas, and it felt like driving through a wall of static, a physical resistance. Then, with a jolt, I was back on Route 9. It was night. Rain was hammering against the windshield like a round of applause for my escape. Everything was normal again. The sounds of traffic, the glare of headlights. It was over. Or so I thought. I raced home, my mind reeling. I needed to see Sarah, to hold her, to prove that the text was just some horrible prank or a network error. I pulled into my driveway. The house looked the same. The lights were on. My key still worked in the lock. A wave of relief washed over me. "Honey, I'm home," I called out, stepping into the living room. A woman's scream ripped through the air. My wife's screams. She was standing by the fireplace, her face a mask of pure terror. And standing up from the couch was a man I had never seen before in my life. "Who are you?" "Get out of my house. I'm calling the police," he shouted, grabbing the phone. My eyes darted around the room. On the mantelpiece, on the walls, were our wedding photos. There was Sarah, my beautiful bride, smiling in her white dress. But the groom beside her, it wasn't me, it was him, the man on the couch. I saw photos from our vacation to Italy, our anniversary dinners, birthday parties. Every single memory was there, but I had been surgically removed, erased. My hands shook as I pulled my wallet from my pocket. My driver's license, it was just a blank piece of plastic. My name, my photo, all gone. I checked my phone. It had been factory reset. Everything was wiped clean. I hadn't visited a ghost town. I had stumbled into the universe's recycling bin, a place where things that no longer fit are taken to be unwritten. And now I'm one of them. I walk down busy streets, and people look right through me. I try to speak, but they just hear the wind. I am a glitch, a loose thread, a person who never was. So listen to me. If you're ever driving and your GPS offers you a shortcut, a road you've never heard of, don't take it. Stay on the main roads. Stay where it's loud, where it's crowded. Stay where people have to notice you, where you can't be ignored. And if you ever walk into a room And for just a split second, your family, your friends, they don't look up. They don't acknowledge you. Don't brush it off. Scream. Make a noise. Do whatever you have to do to remind them you are there. Remind the world you exist before the silence gets too loud and the water closes over you, too. Thanks for listening. If you liked this story, please subscribe for more. Stay safe out there.